Today I wanted to make a video about these quick connects on your 90s model Ford F-150 clutch. I had a lot of trouble with mine. I had about 3 or 4 new lines and put a new slave cylinder in it, and it'd do good for a while, and the line would just keep popping out. So I finally decided I was going to do away with it. And I couldn't really find anything online about it. So I'll show you 2 different ways you can do this. You'll need a 1/8 inch pipe thread die and a couple of these adapters. You can buy these at Summit Racing. Okay, to get started, you want to take this off of your slave cylinder. There's a pin that holds it in. You can use a 1/8 inch punch to remove it. Once you get the pin out, this just pulls out, and you can see, I'll just open this so you can see it better, but that has the same fitting as this. You also want to use this at your slave cylinder so you can do away with this end. You won't have to modify it. You just knock the pin out just like on here. Pop this in and put your pin back in, and it holds that in. Alright, so there's 2 ways that you could do this. One is to cut this off, and you'll have to take a file and chuck this up in a drill press and turn this down to the same diameter as a piece of 1/8 inch pipe, and then you can thread the end of this, and then you can use pipe fittings to go from this to this. So I'll show you how you can. It's pretty easy. Alright, so now I've got my caliper set to the same size of a piece of 1/8 inch pipe. As you can see, this will have to be turned down quite a bit to be able to thread it, so we'll put it back in the drill. And this is just a regular file. what you'll do is you'll turn your drill on, and you want to keep the file flat on the side of this, and just file it down until it is this size. Sorry about that, my phone died in the middle of threading this, but once you get it turned down, you'll check it with your caliper, make sure it's the right size. Then you'll take your die and thread it. Once that's done, you're pretty well done with this. You can put it back in, of course, put your pin back and drive it in there. But what you'll want to get is you'll have to get a 1/8 inch pipe collar, and if you want to extend this out, which I probably would, so it sticks out of your transmission, so that your number 4 JIC fitting is outside and you can thread your line on the outside without having to pull the transmission if you want to replace your line. That's what I would do. I would put a collar on this and then a short nipple, and then get a fitting that goes from number 4 JIC to your 1/8 inch pipe threads that's on the other end of your nipple, and you'd be good to go. I'll try to upload some pictures in the 94 F-150. I done this to it, and I used the collar with the nipple like I was telling you about. But I'll also show you another way if you don't want to go through, maybe you don't have a drill press. This would be a lot easier with a lathe, but if you don't have any equipment like that, you could do this with a grinder. But the bad thing is, when you put this fitting in here, like I said, if you have trouble out of your line, you're going to have to pull your transmission to change your clutch line. But I got when I done mine, I used a stainless steel braided line. I would, you'll probably never have to replace that. It's the same brand as this fitting, Earl's. I forget the length. But I'll show you how you can do this. If you don't want to go through all this trouble of threading this and turning it down, there's a lot quicker and easier way. Just turn this so you'll be able to see it on camera. But basically what you'll do is take a grinder and grind some of this away, but you'll want to put something down in here to keep any shavings and stuff out of your slave cylinder. So you could cut a piece of rag or anything and put down. So what you want to do is just stuff this piece of rag down in there, because you don't want metal shavings getting in there. But once you do that, simply Some of these slave cylinders are plastic. This one's got an aluminum housing, but the new one I bought for mine, it was actually plastic. Alright, so once you get it ground, it's going to look like this. And you can take your fitting that you buy and place it right in. Then you're going to take the pin that came out of it. Just make sure you hold in on this so it doesn't slip out for you. Put that pin back and it's good to go. So as I said before, you could buy your braided stainless line with the number 4 female fitting on it and screw it right to this, but the problem with that is if the line ever blows, you're going to have to pull your transmission to change it. So if you were putting this in like this and didn't want to add anything to it, just your line, you'd want to install this in your transmission, have it on the jack and everything under the vehicle, but don't mount it to the motor. You'd want to put your line on, that way you can tighten it, and then you would have to, then you could put your transmission in. But if you ever have to change that line, you're going to have to pull your transmission. You could probably get a pipe nipple, like I said, like an 1/8 inch pipe nipple and a couple fittings that are JIC that would screw to this, and then have a male sticking out. Like I said, it'd have to stick out about here. If it's too long, you'd have to thread it on there after you install this in the transmission, because it'll hit the bell housing and won't let it go in there. But that's all there is to it. Like I said, I had a lot of trouble with mine. I would put it together. It might be a day or a week or a month, and before you know it, though, you're always wondering in the back of your mind, when's it going to come loose again. These are just, they call it a quick connect, but there's nothing quick about it. When these are on the vehicle, and you can imagine all the grime and stuff builds up in there, they're a pain to get loose. They're just over-engineered garbage. I mean, why would you go with something like this when stuff like this has been around for years? People have used this. It's great, you know, compared to this. This is a lot quicker to take a fitting loose like this than this any day. You've got to have a special tool. But that's how I done mine. I didn't do it this way. I just threaded the piece that was already in there and didn't modify. The other thing, if you do it like this and you ever have to replace the slave cylinder, you're going to have to grind it out too. Where if you do it this way, you won't have to modify the slave cylinder at all. You could just take this fitting out of your old slave, put the new one, take the quick connect fitting out of the new one, pop the one that you made into the new one, and you'd be good to go. If you do it this way, you're going to have to grind it out just like you did here. But this way is a lot easier if you don't have a drill press or a lathe or something to turn it down with. Then this way is a lot easier. It doesn't take that long to file that down. It probably took me, it'd probably, you know, probably take you 10 minutes to do it. And that's a pretty fine file. I mean, that's not rough. yeah, I think that's about it. I'll upload, if I can figure out how to do it, I'll put those pictures into this video showing mine. I got some pictures before I put it in the truck of with this mounted in the transmission and all the fittings on, and then I took some pictures from the outside of the transmission with the line screwed onto it and everything. But I hope this helps someone out. I know when I was having all that trouble with mine, I really couldn't find anything online. People said, you know, to crack this bleeder screw when you plug the line in, that it can hold pressure in here, and some people said to push the clutch in while the bleeder screws crack, and I put new lines, this fitting and everything was new, and it still wouldn't stay. I don't know what the problem was, but I don't know why they put this on them. It's supposed to be to make it easy, but it's just a hassle, really. These fittings here, they're not that much. I think it's like a $15 fitting. I'm not sure what the hose cost. But I hope this video helps someone out, and it'll definitely save you a lot of headache and having to worry about whether this thing's going to pop loose. But thanks for watching. Hope it helps someone out.